The year was 627 CE. The young Muslim community in Medina stood on the edge of destruction. An army unlike any Arabia had ever seen was coming. Not one tribe, not two tribes, but an alliance of tribes united for a single purpose: to erase Islam forever. More than 10,000 warriors marched toward Medina. Against them stood only a few thousand Muslims, outnumbered, surrounded, and facing what seemed impossible. This is the story of the Battle of Al-Ahzab, the Battle of the Trench. The enemies unite. After suffering defeats at Badr and failing to destroy the Muslims at Uhud, the leaders of Quraysh were furious. They knew that as long as Medina existed, Islam would continue to grow. So they traveled throughout Arabia. They formed alliances. They gathered tribes. They collected weapons. They promised wealth and victory. Soon a massive coalition was formed: Quraysh, Ghatafan, and many other tribes. Together they became known as the Confederates, the Ahzab. Their goal was simple: destroy Medina, kill Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, end Islam forever. A brilliant idea. When news reached Medina, the Muslims were shocked. Never before had Arabia witnessed such a large army. The Prophet, peace be upon him, gathered his companions. How could they defend the city? Then Salman Al-Farsi proposed something unusual, something the Arabs had never seen: a trench. A massive ditch dug around the exposed side of Medina. The idea came from Persian warfare. The Prophet immediately approved it. Every Muslim began working. The Prophet himself carried dirt and rocks. Leaders and workers stood side by side. The entire city became a construction site. Day and night they dug. The enemy was approaching. Time was running out. Hunger and sacrifice. The work was exhausting. The weather was cold. Food was scarce. Many companions tied stones to their stomachs to reduce hunger. The Prophet, peace be upon him, himself tied 2 stones to his stomach. Yet nobody stopped. Nobody complained. They knew their survival depended on this trench. During the digging, huge rocks blocked their progress. The companions called the Prophet, peace be upon him. He struck the rock. A flash appeared. He struck again. Another flash. Then a third time. The rock shattered. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, gave glad tidings that one day Islam would spread far beyond Arabia. At that moment, it seemed impossible. But history would prove those words true. The arrival of the Confederates. Soon the Confederate army arrived. 10,000 warriors, horses, weapons, veteran fighters. They expected to attack immediately. Instead, they stopped. Before them stood a trench, a huge obstacle they had never encountered before. Their cavalry could not cross. Their attack plan collapsed. The Muslims had gained precious time. The Confederates established a siege. They would starve Medina, then crush it. Days of fear. The siege continued. Days turned into weeks. Food became scarce. Fear spread. The Quran described the moment vividly. Eyes filled with terror. Hearts reached the throats. The Muslims were tested like never before. Meanwhile, the hypocrites inside Medina began spreading doubt. They said the promises of victory were false. Some wanted to abandon the defense. Others lost hope. But the true believers remained firm. The duel of Amr ibn Abd Wudd. One of the greatest warriors in Arabia managed to cross part of the trench. His name was Amr ibn Abd Wudd. Many considered him equal to hundreds of men in battle. He challenged the Muslims. Silence filled the battlefield. Then Ali ibn Abi Talib stepped forward. The Prophet, peace be upon him, allowed him. The two warriors faced each other. Steel clashed. Dust rose. The armies watched. Then the duel ended. Ali emerged victorious. The morale of the Muslims soared. The Confederates lost one of their strongest champions. The crisis of Banu Qurayzah. Then disaster struck. A Jewish tribe living inside Medina, known as Banu Qurayzah, broke their agreement with the Muslims. Suddenly, the Muslims faced danger from outside and inside. Women and children were vulnerable. The situation became extremely serious. The believers were surrounded. The city seemed close to collapse. Yet the Prophet, peace be upon him, remained calm. He trusted Allah and continued organizing the defense. The turning point. As the siege dragged on, frustration spread through the Confederate camp. Supplies ran low. Morale declined. The weather worsened. Then Allah sent a powerful wind. A violent storm struck the enemy camp. Tents collapsed. Fires were extinguished. Equipment scattered. Chaos spread everywhere. The Confederates realized the siege had failed. Their coalition began to break apart. One tribe after another prepared to leave. The mighty army that came to destroy Islam was falling apart without achieving its goal. The retreat. Finally, the Confederates abandoned the siege. 10,000 warriors withdrew. Medina survived. Islam survived. The Muslims had not won through superior numbers. They had not won through wealth. They had not won through military power. They won through faith, unity, patience, and wise leadership. Lessons of the battle. The Battle of the Trench changed history. Never again would Quraysh launch such a massive attack against Medina. The initiative began shifting toward the Muslims. The battle showed that intelligence can defeat strength. Preparation can defeat numbers. Faith can defeat fear. And sometimes victory comes not from attacking, but from standing firm. When 10,000 warriors marched toward Medina, the world expected Islam to disappear. Instead, the trench held. The believers endured. And the religion they tried to destroy continued to spread across the world. This was the Battle of Al-Ahzab, the battle where an entire nation stood against Islam and failed.